Shinzo Ningen Casshan premiered on Fuji TV in October of 1973. Casshan was the second of several sci-fi superhero anime to come from Tatsunoko Studios in the 70s, following the immensely successful science ninja team Gatchaman in 1972. Following might not be the best phrasing though, since Casshan premiered while Gatchaman was still airing. In fact, Gatchaman's active production actually affected aspects of Casshan's development. Originally, Casshan was planned to take over Gatchaman's time slot of Sundays at 6 p.m. However, Gatchaman did so well that the network renewed it for another year, and Casshan was instead given a time slot of Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. This time slot was previously used for fairy tale adaptations, such as Mock of the Oak Tree, so Casshan's world and aesthetics were made to resemble that of a fairy tale. This is apparent from the first episode, where we see the main character, Tetsuya Azuma, living in a medieval castle. Hammering in the fairy tale theming, the consciousness of Tetsuya's mother is transferred into the robot swan Swanee, who assists him in his fight to protect humanity while spying on the villains. Throughout the series, the relationship between Casshan and his mother becomes similar to that of Pinocchio and the Blue Fairy, and all this was intentional. Planning documents for the series reveal an intention to entertain the younger viewers who would have been tuning in for fairy tale stories, while drawing in newer viewers with intense drama and action. Although the show uses fairy tale iconography resembling European villages, no exact real-world setting is given to the series. The main character and his family seem to be Japanese, as their family name is Azuma, but their home is a large European-style castle, and the villages surrounding the castle are stocked with citizens sporting Western names. The destruction of these villages to build robot factories seems like a parallel to England's Industrial Revolution, but in the 70s Japan was facing similar circumstances. Following the end of World War II, Japan faced supply shortages, currency devaluation, and heavy inflation. With their economy at a standstill, the government made major investments in electrical power, coal, steel, and chemicals. By the mid-60s, Japan had opened themselves to the international market, and to compete, they needed to make more factories to build automobiles, ships, and machine parts. By the 70s, this expansion was creating environmental concerns, and many authors of the time incorporated these concerns into their work. Casshan is no exception, as the creators felt that the Androforce's industrialization and the resulting pollution could make this foreign fairy tale setting more poignant to Japanese viewers. The setting wasn't the only aspect of Casshan's production affected by Gatchaman's extended airtime. Before becoming a newly built man, Casshan's name, as stated in the planning document, was going to be Joji, the Japanese version of the name George. However, Gatchaman main character Joe the Condor's full name was actually George Asakura. Fuji TV didn't like the idea of both shows having characters with the same name. The team at Tatsunoko decided to hold on to the name Joji, and instead decided to name Casshan Tetsuya. I say held on to because they reused the name not too long after on Tekkaman's protagonist Joji Minami. If you've already started watching the series and remember episode 13, you probably noticed an interesting Easter egg. For those who haven't seen it and don't mind a minor spoiler, the episode introduces an android named Android 5, who believes humans deserve freedom from robots. Throughout the episode, 5 seems to mirror Casshan, at first pretending to be a human who lost his family, but later revealing to be an android who detests the Androforce and wishes to live as a human. After witnessing the death of a child at the hands of the Androforce, 5 vows to live a meaningful life in that child's stead. 5 even decides to take that child's name as his own, and that name is none other than George. George is even voiced by actor Akira Kamiya, known for playing roles like Kenshiro in Fist of the North Star and Ryo Saiba in City Hunter. What's interesting about Kamiya's role here is that he actually originally auditioned for the role of Casshan, but was turned down in favor of Ikuo Nishikawa, who had previously voiced the young titular hero on Tatsunoko's anime Kurenai Sanshiro. As for the hero's name Casshan, it's stated in the planning documents that the name Casshan comes from the English word cache, meaning a treasure hidden away or stored for the future, likely referring to Casshan's humanity. However, Hiroshi Sasagawa insists that the origin is less optimistic, and says it derives from the word Casshan, the Japanese onomatopoeia for the sound of glass breaking, as it represents something that can't be undone, referring to Tetsuya's transition from a human to an android. Early in development, Casshan was given the title Neo Rider, but Toshiyuki Matsuyama with Yomiko Advertising suggested the title Shinzo Ningen, and the name was changed accordingly. Shinzo Ningen isn't a phrase that easily translates to English. It's a play on the word Jinzo Ningen, which literally translates to artificial human, but is often translated as android in science fiction works. Shin is a prefix meaning new in Japanese. Thus, Shinzo Ningen literally translates to newly created human. As cool as Shinzo Ningen sounds in Japanese, it doesn't roll off the tongue or convey the same meaning it does in English. Sentai Filmworks tried to remedy this with their title Neo-Human Casshan, though it still doesn't imply that the character is an android as clearly as it does in Japanese. Still, it's a better translation than what Central Park Media used in their dub of the Time Boken OVA.
Casshan, the Bionic Man!
However, the term Neo Rider did make a comeback when it was later used for the character in the Infinity Force manga series, published in 2015. Casshan's antagonist, Breaking Boss, also has an interesting name. His name uses the kanji for burai, meaning villain or wicked. However, bu can also mean warrior, as seen in the word bushido, way of the warriors, while rai is the Japanese word for lightning. When the two are combined, it can mean lightning warrior, referring to how Breaking Boss was given sentience by a lightning strike. Another name with a second meaning is Casshan's robot dog, Friender, who gets his name because he's Casshan's friend. There were plenty of influences for Gatchaman, ranging from Jerry Anderson's Thunderbirds to creator Tatsuo Yoshida's own ninja manga, such as Ninja Butai Gecko. One of the most important influences, though, has to be Kamen Rider, the live-action tokusatsu series from Toei Studios and manga author Shotaro Ishinomori. In July of 1972, Ishinomori and Toei debuted a new tokusatsu series called Jinzo Ningen Kikaider. Just like Casshan, Kikaider follows an android named Jiro, built in the image of his creator's son, Ichiro. Throughout the series, Jiro longs to be human and feels conflicted because as much as he hates his robotic body, he needs it to protect the ones he loves. Casshan carries almost all the same emotional baggage as Jiro, as he struggles to feel accepted by humans in a world that lives in fear of androids. Kikaider was very popular and is one of the few Ishinomori tokusatsu series outside of Kamen Rider and Super Sentai to receive a sequel. The sequel, Kikaider 01, began airing in May of 1973 and introduced Jiro's brother Ichiro, who was also an android. One difference between Ichiro and Jiro is that Ichiro was a solar-powered android, which allowed for more tension as Ichiro's powers would be limited at night or when there's no direct sunlight. Casshan too is solar-powered and collects solar energy through the crescent-shaped solar panel on his forehead. If not directly taken from Kikaider 01, Casshan's use of solar energy may have also been inspired by Superman, as Tatsunoko president Tatsuo Yoshida was a huge fan of Superman comics and was even commissioned by DC Comics to create a Japanese version of Superman in 1959. Casshan's design does seem more inspired by American superheroes, especially the giant C on his chest, but there's no doubt that the Kikaider brothers were also a large influence. It should at least be stated that though Jiro and Casshan have similar personalities and internal conflicts, they also share these traits with Osamu Tezuka's Astro Boy, predating both works by over a decade. Casshan was directed by Tatsunoko veteran Hiroshi Sasagawa, who wasn't as well versed in the genres of sci-fi and superheroes as some of Tatsunoko's other key staff members. As a result, he turned to Tatsunoko's previous series, Kurenai Sanshiro, for inspiration. Sanshiro was about a judo champion traveling the world in search of the man who killed his father. Sasagawa decided that Casshan would also be a traveling hero, meeting new friends and foes with each episode. This concept works much better in Sanshiro though, as he's actively searching for someone, whereas Casshan knows where Breaking Boss is located. He's literally in his house. Yet Casshan continues traveling across an array of fake countries, several of which seem to be Mexico. Casshan may have also taken some influence from Jesus Christ, as just like with Jesus, his trip to Mexico ends with him being crucified. Another early Tatsunoko work Casshan seems inspired by is Tatsunoko's first anime, Space Ace, who sports a similar outfit as Casshan and was also aided in battle by a robot dog. Ace's dog, however, was actually inspired by one of Hiroshi Sasagawa's earlier manga called Demon Dog Goro, which released in 1963. Demon Dog Goro is actually notable because it predates a trend of robot dog manga that happened in the mid-60s. These were inspired by the success of the Lassie films in Japan, with the most popular being Super Dog Leap, released in 1965 and created by 8-man creator Jiro Kuwata. Also, in the same year that Super Dog Leap came out, Shotaro Ishinomori released the Kubikuro storyline in Cyborg 009. As modern Western works didn't appeal to Sasagawa, he drew inspiration from classical works like Frankenstein and Tarzan, stating that Frender's howl before a battle was even inspired by Tarzan's iconic yell. Though it pulled in ratings that rivaled the massive hit that was Gatchaman, Casshan suffered from budgeting issues and had 3 episodes cut from its projected run. This was due to the Yom Kippur War between Israel and the Arab states, which began only 4 days after Casshan's premiere. This war raised gas prices across the globe by as much as 70%, and the effects on the Japanese economy impacted the budget of many Japanese television programs. To fill out the 38-episode order from Fuji TV, episodes 7, 9, and 13 were simply re-aired between episodes 32 and 33. But this resulted in a rushed finale that ends with Casshan laughing despite never regaining his humanity.